All right. So, hello. Greetings. I'm Scott's Case Files, and above me you see my awesome players. We're doing Bedlam Hall. This is our first actual play episode. Um, yeah, they have characters ready. We created characters last time, session 0. We created the manor. We created the family. I did my best to kind of get those into WorldAnvil. This is my first time working with WorldAnvil with the campaign, and once you get the hang of things, I think it goes a bit faster. So I slowly moving quickly. That's not correct. But anyway, so I'm totally not finished yet, but I'm working on it. Also, as just a note, I've decided to pre-fail on doing voices for each of the family members. And do I do one here and there? But yeah, that just was not happening. Steve especially was looking to create even more family members to stretch my linguistic and accent abilities, and I was stretched too far before we even got started. So here we are. So yeah, let's jump right in. Let's talk to our players here. Over here we have Philip. Philip is energetic and happy to be here, of course, and a person of few words.
Always. Well, I don't know about that last part. I don't think that describes me necessarily, but I am excited and happy to be
here. We also have Jason.
Very good, sir. Will Twitch require any additional service, or shall I take my leave?
You should probably take your leave.
Yeah, I'm not going to use that voice except when I want to annoy
you. I will try to force it out of you as often as possible.
Which, unfortunately, means I'm pretty much using that voice permanently.
You'll have to get your... Who came up with that? Gollum juice? Did Philip mention that? You have to drink your Gollum juice to get the voice just right.
Your character is not that old, sweetie. You don't need to do that.
Quite all right. The voice is not about age. It is about being able to properly impersonate bad British television.
Oh my. We are in for a treat today, boys and gals. And last, but definitely not least, is our Steve.
Hello.
Hello. Definitely man a few words. Quite constantly, actually. But we're gonna change that during this session. So yeah, let's just jump right in and set the scene. So I've entitled this episode Moving Day. So the Malbanes don't live in the manor year round. They find it more efficient and proper to live in London for at least part of the year. But generally they leave just before the new year and then come back here in March. So this is moving day in March. The year is 1919, and it is just months after the end of World War I. And this is in Devonshire, England, so it's like the southwest-ish portion of England. A large countryside estate. Are there any totally new people to service to the Malbanes who haven't actually been to the manor yet, or have all of you been with them for at least a season?
I don't think I have been there.
Okay, so Miss Croft is new.
At least a season.
Okay.
Yeah, they probably recruited me while they were in London.
Gotcha. How about Mr. Current?
Mr. Curran here has been with the family for a fair while.
Excellent. You've probably seen a bunch of staff come and go as time ran on. But yeah, so we'll start.
Staff are temporary. The house endures.
Well put. Well put. What is that hitting? Stop the hitting.
They can hear you, sir.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so let's set the scene. I will say that let's see, are Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Current traveling with the family in the chauffeured car, or are they coming later and separately?
I was actually going to ask if, as housekeeper, if I was sent on ahead.
Ooh, good point. Let's say yes.
I mean, who knows what I had to deal with, so it's probably not done, but...
So,
That's fair.
yeah, I expect then, the housekeeper and the butler would have been sent on at least a couple of days ahead in order to supervise any other staff that remained, maintaining the house while they were gone, and supervise them in getting everything cleaned up and ready for the family's arrival.
Don't be silly, Mr. Current. There were no staff left around. That would be ludicrous. That'd be
so
crazy.
Are we the only? Just to establish, are we the only 3 staff?
You are the only 3 staff.
So they are not.
Yeah,
They are not well taken. Well, they are well taken care of by us. But
yes,
they're
exactly.
Not, they don't have a superfluous amount of staff.
Correct, for various reasons that Mr. Current is probably most familiar with.
I'm pretty sure. There's one other person on staff. We just don't see the gardener very often.
Yes, the gardener. Yes, and he is there year round. He's the only staff that is, and of course, he isn't interested in the upkeep of the house beyond making sure the roof doesn't fall in, etc., etc., etc. All right, so cool. So let's start off a scene quick with Ms. Croft. You're kind of you've gotten directions. You did make a quick stop in like the town that's just outside the manor. By like 3 or 4 miles, and kind of get final directions. You're actually transporting only 3 people today. You're transporting Mortimer Malbane, the patriarch of the Malbane family. Delilah, his wife, his second wife, scandalous. And also his youngest son by her, Adam. So yes, the Adam is always interested in what you're doing, a very precocious 12-year-old. He's kind of has, normal length, brown hair, fair skin. He has those eyes that are always looking all over the place. Very curious, very just looking for that new thing. Like everything he passes on the way, you can hear him point out the window. Oh my God, look at that, Mommy. Oh my God, look at that, Daddy. Or Father. Meanwhile, Mortimer is napping for most of the way. He's a rather old man. He's just about to turn 90 this year, is your understanding. And Delilah is kind of self-absorbed. She's reading letters that she got from the post right before they left London, and still kind of going through them and strangely writing as you're moving, which is quite the feat. Because she's using like a fountain pen and like a little inkwell there. And back in the back of your head, Ms. Croft, you're like, oh, please don't stay in the back seat. Those just were freshly reupholstered, What kind of car is this, by the way? Is this like a Packard? Is this what kind of car are we looking at for this era? Have you thought about that one? If not, we can go back.
Give me a moment to Google 1920s. I'm not sure.
Please do. So yeah, we'll cut away from you, and let's see. So let's start with Mr. Reynolds. So Mr. Reynolds, you've been there for at least a season. You kind of know the weird in and outs, the eccentric needs of the family, and some of them are not as pleasant to work with as the other. So the one in particular is there's this room just off the library, you have to pull the book on the one shelf, and it's actually kind of worn. It's the most used of the books, strangely, and it opens up that secret passage that the family doesn't believe that the staff knows about. But it goes to the book that bleeds, and it's been left alone for several months. So as you pull the book, door kind of slides open, actually quite well. This is a well done secret room. You kind of look at the floor, and there's like, you know how like Jello takes the form of the mold after a while? So does the blood as it kind of gelatinizes and dries. So for a good minute, it keeps it,
dried as it's, down the edge of the bookshelf. Kind of like a candle that had been left to burn out.
But yes, it's not pretty. You know exactly what's going on, and you have to fix this.
I think there's a reason I left this till last.
So we're actually gonna make things interesting. We're actually gonna start out with a roll. So let's go to our duties here. Oh, it was just found. So let's see here. So let's serve the house. So roll plus fortitude. Kind of bring that in.
I don't know if I'm taking the initiative to improve the function of the house.
Well, you're not taking the initiative in the sense that you actually thought of it on your own, but you are taking the initiative to make sure that this is well in place by the time the family gets home, and that'll trigger that move certainly.
So let me. I assume it's just /roll 2d6.
Yeah, /roll 2d6 plus whatever your
or just R
plus. Minus.
Oh no!
If it was plus, it might have been a success.
Funny. All right, a 5. So, yeah. So you kind of get all this stuff in place. You have a whole stack of like old towel rags just waiting. You have the bleach. You have the cleaning gear, or the borax, I suppose would be called in this age. You have several buckets of water, warm, cold, and everything between, just to do it just right. Because this is not your first rodeo, as that saying goes.
Normally you just blot it out unless it's this much.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not the chore it should be. And you really couldn't pay anyone enough to do this over the time that they're away, the months that you're gone in London. And so as you're doing the thing, the inevitable happens, and you find yourself slipping and sliding in the blood itself until you fall on your butt, and you kind of have to pick yourself up. You could swear the book told you to sod off as you get up. There was like this deep voice coming from the book, but that could have been the building settling. We're not sure. But this dark room, it's like a dark room too, so you have to, there's several candelabras in there that you have to light, and it's not pretty. There's blood everywhere, and this is not the first time I'm going to say those words in this campaign. But yeah, you are irreparably filthy with blood at this point. I'll say you're able to get it cleaned up. Certainly not spotless the way that, as the housekeeper, Mr. Reynolds, would like it. But your uniform is definitely soiled, and if you're going to have to scramble to look proper once the family gets here. Or
scramble, of course, I need to be able to present myself.
Exactly. So the question is, are we going to be able to do that in time? We don't know.
Anyone's guess.
What's that?
It's anyone's guess.
It is anyone's guess. Mr. Current, you hear this even from the distance. You hear this banging and falling and screeching, and did Mr. Reynolds go upstairs, or is there a wild animal loose in the house? I don't know. But your mission at the moment is to clear all of the cobwebs off of the antlered stuffed animal heads in the what is it, the main room?
The Great Hall, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I think the greeting hall. Let's look it up real quick. In
That
my
would be the
handy
drawing
dandy.
room.
What's that?
Yep. It's the drawing room.
Yep.
Oh, the drawing room. There we are. Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't make you roll for this one because it's nothing. It's not exactly, it's not as potentially hazardous to anyone's health, etc., as the room of blood. But what are you kind of thinking as you're kind of, dusting the cobwebs off of, the antlers of the rabbit, the antlers of the lynx, the antlers of this mounted owl, that seemed to be that whoever did the taxidermy did an amazing job on the eyes. They follow you, and they're all looking at you, and they all want to be cleaned, and you know it. What's going through Mr. Current's head?
Really, for somebody such as me to be reduced to such menial tasks, if it weren't for the family's reputation around London, perhaps we'd finally be able to hire a maid around here. Not like we can rely on that layabout housekeeper to actually keep things in order. But one must do what one must do to keep everything in its place. Everything has a place.
You're constantly moving the little step ladder from left to right to get everything. The dust definitely welling up in your nose and lungs. And boy, do those cobwebs build up over the several months that you're gone.
How they expect us to manage with just this small household. We don't have a maid. We don't have a cook. We don't even have a blasted valet. For Mortimer, it's just... I really must get around to writing a help wanted bulletin. Perhaps it can be posted in the town and...
Yes, and only in your mind would you refer to Lord Malbane as Mortimer. That's like a freaking death sentence. You might as well just walk yourself out. Go, just stop talking, turn around, pack up your stuff in little boxes in your little suitcase, and then walk straight out. Do not pass go. Do not collect your last paycheck. Just get out. All right. So, meanwhile, Ms. Croft, you're coming onto the Malbane Manor's land. And it's a decent-sized chunk of land, and it's a square parcel like many of the others around here. There used to be a kind of like a wall that went around at least some of it, and it's more or less crumbled right at this point. You still have the outside gate, that wrought iron monstrosity that you're going to learn to hate as time goes on. You just know it. And it has, of course, the Malbanes along the top. It's been the family for some years, as you've been led to understand. And you actually have to get out, and no one is there to open it. And Lord Malbane has long since given you like a key to that. And that is, as far as you know, that's the only copy of the key that unlocks this front gate. You have to actually get out, pop it in there. You notice that the locking mechanism itself is like a person, and you can't help but feel that when you're sticking in the key and turning it, that you're putting a dagger in its heart and twisting it around. It's just unnerving the way it's perfectly. It's like just off center, like the human heart, and et cetera, and it's just weird. Why would you do that? It's good attention to detail, though. Must compliment the craftsman on his work where he's still alive. But you're able to open up the gate, start cruising in, and you've chosen the let's see here, the Nash touring automobile. A pretty thing, little, kind of like a smaller passenger area, longer front and engine space, etc., etc. We'll have to post that somewhere. But yeah, it's making good time. You only had one flat on the way from London to here. That's kind of impressive. So what are your thoughts as you kind of go in? It looks like as you enter the gates, there used to be like a working orchard here, but the trees have since died off and not been replaced or maintained. But as you kind of come up, you see the manor house in the distance, closing. It's like any other manor house that you would expect with that name. It is kind of imposing and all stone. And you kind of see that entranceway that you're going towards. And then you also notice the garage, a good like 50 feet off to the left of the house, off to the east. So what are you thinking as you're kind of coming up this drive, coming towards the manor house? What's in Ms. Croft's mind?
Well, the ad said that the staff was pretty small, and you can kind of tell that with the state of the grounds. Obviously, I know better as Philip, but obviously there's no gardener to keep up the place and make it work well, and the house is really big. I don't know that I've actually been in a building this big besides when applying for help wanted ads. And even then, those were in the middle of town rather than out on their own, in kind of this random abandoned place with the creepy murder lock.
The murder lock. Well put.
But at least I'm the one holding the dagger.
Yeah, there's that. Good point. Cool. So what as you kind of pull in, before you know it, the far left door is open, and Adam is already scurried out and is running towards the front door. His mother, takes her eyes off of her letter and the letter writing, and has already tucked the instruments away into this little kind of elongated wooden box that she clips shut with a like an audible sound. And the hint is somebody isn't opening up my door and helping me out of the car.
So I will hop out of the car, make sure to turn it off, and go around and open up the door and kind of like do my little serval bow.
Well, the thing is, the door is actually already open because that's where Adam went out, but she makes it quite clear that she wants you to close it, reopen it for her, and let her out.
Okay.
This is a theme throughout this entire thing, so please get used to it.
Yes. I will close it.
Mean rich people.
Nice and loud. And then open it, also nice and forcefully. And then gesture.
Yes, she gets out and kind of gives you this, half approving, like, that kind of that in one little, she says, like, in one little muffled syllable that, you started out bad, but maybe you have room for improvement, type of thing. And she goes to the house and definitely bind the package on top. It's not to be scratched. It's very valuable. All of it's very valuable.
And where would you like it, my lady?
That's a good question. Ask the butler. Do I look like a butler to you, Ms. Croft?
No, of course not. I apologize.
Oh my. With that, she kind of goes inside. Does the butler and the housekeeper hear the car come around?
I would imagine so. Although I'm scurrying,
Yes.
is, probably to catch up to wherever Mr. Current is.
Yes. So yeah, so
Yes,
Mr. Go ahead.
moving towards the front door. So when they open the front door, I'll be the first thing they see.
Excellent. I'll say, yeah, so Mr. Reynolds will just in time get changed into his last set of clean uniform clothes. But Mr. Current, feel free to take note of his tardiness when greeting the family. I mean, it only happens once a year. You think a housekeeper could be on time, right?
I am well aware of everything that happens under my roof.
Are you? All right, so for the viewers,
Well, I mean that's what I tell the newbies.
Exactly.
That's what I tell all the new hires.
They should fear you in that sense. So for the audience who doesn't know what you look like, why don't let's describe ourselves. So Mr. Current, what does Mr. Current look like if you had to describe him in 25 words or less?
So the Current is tall, slim, somewhat athletic build. Short, perfectly kept brown hair.
Shaved,
piercing
beard.
brown eyes. Yeah. Completely clean shaven, absolute perfection. Probably goes out at the razor several times a day just to make sure everything's perfect. Impeccably dressed in 3-piece suit and tie. Always at the ready.
I will make a note of your several times of use of the razor every day. For no reason whatsoever, of course.
At 5 o'clock shadow, it's absolutely unforgivable. You need to get rid of that at 10 a.m., at noon, at 2, and 4. There's a shadow at 5 o'clock.
I was going to say, many options for accidents.
I see some failures really adding up here. So, yes. I think, does the game actually refer to them as failures as opposed to the usual miss in Powered by the Apocalypse? I'll have to look at that later.
I don't know if I've seen
through the main part of the PDF. I don't think they actually refer to misses at all. Like, your basics move, the chapter where it starts on page 51. They're just like, da-da-da-da-da, walking a staff, give your basic moves, allow you to have the appropriate attributed roll to improve or impair the final result. And then, like, each one is like, on 10 plus, do this, on 7-9, do that. And then they just kind of go on.
There's no hit or miss.
But they give examples of a miss. Yeah, so blah, blah, blah. Somebody is convinced the butler has been stealing from household accounts and is using, confirmed suspicions. And they roll persuasion, get a 5, a failure. In the midst of accusation, she fails to notice the Blackwood's youngest daughter, Matilda, enter the room. Matilda goes to an set, books begin flying around. And Matilda starts crying as the book slamming against the wall next to his controller's head. So it doesn't tell you in the moves what happens on a failure, but
it's inferred. But I was just kind of curious as to
there's like something in a GM section about that. But I mean, it's PBTA, so like the general rules on failure is hard move, right?
Right. But yes, I was more referring to like the harsh tone of this entire game. It's not a miss; it's a failure. You're a failure.
Oh, I'm sure it's absolutely a failure.
Yes. How about Mr. Reynolds? Describe yourself.
Mr. Reynolds, his uniform has bit of the old frilly style to it. White, shirt, of course. So black jacket. He's pale, like he rarely goes outside. Probably not horribly unusual given the state of the garden. But it also looks like he's using just a touch of foundation. So he's a little bit vain about his looks. Younger, probably early 20s.
Gotcha. A little color to the cheeks type of thing.
Yeah, a little bit of,
looks like he has actual blood flow there, and like, a normal Londoner would.
But, you think also that, the foundation might just be there, maybe hide a little bit, whether he's, sweating or not a little bit, just to kind of just, keep his, state of his complexion, from showing.
Excellent. And Ms. Croft, as you're approaching the manor, Mortimer Malbane III is behind you, a wrinkly, crinkly old man, almost 90 years old, thin, slightly taller, very, very well dressed. They don't skimp on the look of richness. He could be going to a party for all you know, but in reality, of course, he's just moving into the house with his wife and son. But yes, I would describe Miss Croft.
Well, Miss Croft has kind of the latest style of the shorter, sort of springy, slightly curly hair, sort of like in between brown and dirty blonde, and like kind of that homely, pretty in a very Germanic sort of way, which she naturally works very hard to conceal any sort of accent, given the recent unpleasantness over on the mainland.
Fair enough. Excellent. So, so as you get to the door, of course, you open the door for the family. The dull sun of the remaining day that's filtered in through the gloom of the overcast day kind of shines into the room, the most light that it's gotten recently, to both Mr. Current and Mr. Reynolds' sadness, as the kind of the light hits those floating motes of dust can be seen just filtering through the air. But Malbane walks in and he kind of looks both of them up and down, doing his normal inspection, like, Current? Current?
Yes, Mr. Malbane. It is an absolute pleasure to see you once again.
Looking stout as always. I see you've been keeping up on your overactive diet.
One must remain in fit and proper trim if one is to be of the utmost service to a gentleman such as yourself.
Hardy man. Turns to Reynolds. And he doesn't even comment on his looks.
My pleasure to have you in the house again, Lord Malbane.
Just as a subtle note, the butler does start with an extra prestige, hence why Mortimer actually cares kind of at the moment. Cares is literally always in air quotes here. But again, and I just want to put it out there, I apologize. There was just so much from the last session 0, to get done, and I haven't gotten it kind of mounted. Like, generally what I would like to do is immediately show you the character sheets for each of them. I don't have those yet, in part because Roll20 and WorldAnvil don't support Bedlam Hall yet, so it's kind of like I have to kind of create the PDFs myself, etc., and getting that other stuff. So next sessions I'll be far more prepared, and you'll see, as a viewer, you're going to see far more. But for now, work with me. But yes, so Mr. Current does have 2 prestige, where everyone else starts with 1. So Mr. Current is the man at the moment. Another reason you want prestige.
Once you have prestige, it's easier to earn more prestige.
Kind of like money.
There you go. And the basic rules, yes, it says the 6 or below is considered a failure. Oh, dashed luck, that. And a failure means you are unsuccessful, allowing the master of the house an opportunity to make a move of their own, and you won't like it, not one bit. So yes, make us suffer.
Yeah, you're all have to be a little masochistic to be playing this, so I commend you on that. Being honest with yourself is very important. So yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Quick mechanical item. since our secrets are secret at the moment, for the moment, and we're going to be keeping it that way, how would you prefer to be communicated with for anything that might involve, dastardly doings?
Ooh, good call. So for that, again, this is my first time using WorldAnvil with this, and I think if we go to, I'm going to actually start off like the session in WorldAnvil.
So the question I was going to say, Scott, you're generally able to see the chat window in Roll20 at basically all times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is a whisper to GM function. It's in the little, gray box at the beginning. You can do a GM roll or, /W space GM space, whatever you type, which will send a text message only to that person.
Gotcha.
And not to the rest of the group. That is a way to essentially pass secret notes.
Right. I do want to keep it kind of quiet even from the viewer for now, at least.
Okay,
and because I do show that.
Would see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out a good way to do that with WorldAnvil, like with a note.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if WorldAnvil, Discord, what would be your preferred method so you can see it in a timely manner.
Right, exactly. Let's see here. Again, first time. But I'm just trying to see if there is a good way to like do the communication here. Let's see, y'all. And again, sorry for the thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you can basically, like, if you're on WorldAnvil, you can actually go, now that I've started the session, you can actually go in there and, like, do, like, notes that everyone will see. Like, for example, hey, hello and welcome to Heck. So if I do this, if I share this, if you're all on WorldAnvil, you should all see that. If you're in the session itself. Philip, I didn't get you in WorldAnvil. Your character isn't in, so you probably are not seeing this. So yet another thing to kind of get spiffed up for next session. Jason and Steve, do you see that? If like you're in the actual session?
Fresh to see it, but I do see it.
I don't know how I'm supposed to get into that. It's
the button was in at least when I was looking at it, when I was on the WorldAnvil, like Malbane page was in the upper right, and it said enter session.
Oh, there it is. Of course, I'm not looking at the top. I've already scrolled down. Oh, hey, WorldAnvil has a dice roller built in. That's convenient.
So, good question. That in order to kind of keep things rolling right now,
we can just freeform, tonight.
Yeah, we'll freeform it tonight. But I'll again, I do apologize. We'll have a better answer for you next time. Because thank you for bringing it up, Steve. I definitely want to. So, also as a note, so not only do you have the staff has secrets, the family has troubles. So I'm going to say that. And kind of like house rule, technically you can find out a trouble of one or two ways. Either A, you can use the move. If we go over here, let's see. So the same move you would with staff would be confirm suspicions. So when you have a reason to believe you know someone's secret or trouble, roll plus persuasion. So there's that. So I'm going to say though, once one person knows the trouble, it's now kind of public knowledge. So that won't need to be kept quite secret. It's going to be, and when we basically get to like the third tier of that trouble, there is no way it couldn't be public knowledge at that point. So just something to keep in mind with that on the side of the Malbane family. But we'll get to that too. So again, thank you for bringing that up, Steve. That's an awesome point. Again, I normally play a very open table. Everybody out of character knows everything, and I think that makes a better overall game, generally speaking. In this, I think it would just be more fun to have secrets be secret until they're not anymore. So we're what Steve and I were discussing is how to keep that from the other players for now, and kind of go with that. So we'll figure that out. We'll get there. We got this. I'll figure out a good way to do this. The problem with Discord, the reason it doesn't work well with Discord is in order to look at your note, I have to turn away from this video session we're doing, which messes all that up, as you might expect. And then it's seeable on the stream, etc. So anyway,
presumably you could do Discord on your phone and do personal messages to each of us.
Oh,
well, there's that, I suppose.
That actually would work. Yeah,
I'm an old person who's like a slow finger typist, thumb typist. Yeah, so not a skill I possess.
If you had a second monitor, that would probably also work, because OBS only captures the defined area on one monitor, right?
Are you offering to buy one for him?
No, I actually do. I do have 2 monitors, but that's where it's capturing from, and this makes it so I can look at you while the stream's running and all that kind of good stuff. I can actually see your faces. I will one day show you my setup. That'll be a video. So, cool. Back to the game. So I'm assuming, Ms. Croft, you've met Mr. Current and Mr. Reynolds prior to this, like after your interview and just before they left for the manor, I'm assuming, yes?
Probably briefly.
Yes.
I don't expect that I would have had a ton of interaction with them besides Mr. Current, making sure that I knew my place in the order of things.
Nice. It's good to expect that kind of thing. But so you're the last to walk in. So the Mr. Current and Mr. Reynolds, you're passed up by Lord Malbane. He kind of goes past you and into I'll say like the smoking room, kind of like a relaxed place for the men. And since he's the only man, that means he gets to be alone. Delilah Malbane, Lady Malbane, comes in, and she kind of looks to both of you, somewhat approvingly. She's like more looking past you to see if like everything's. You can almost see her counting the plates on that wall over 1, 2, 3. There better be 5, 4. Okay, there are 5. So yes, there's that, and it's like you can both tell from the look on her face. And Ms. Croft, you've gotten the same impression again. It's like she is looking for a reason. She's looking for a reason. She wants to make you feel horrible, but she finds nothing at this point. Again, but then again, she's only seen a part of the house yet. So she indeed goes past you, and looks like she goes upstairs straight to her bedroom. You would assume, we'll get into that should we need to. And the last person to come in the door is Ms. Croft.
So where did Adam go?
I was wondering if anyone's going to ask that question. Not there. Ms. Croft
blew in, ill wind, or if he was elsewhere.
Yeah, Ms. Croft, you're the last one to come in, and Adam is not there at the moment.
Did anybody actually witness Adam come in?
Oh yes, he came in. He just was faster than you were and got through the door before you arrived. Good to see you again, Mr. Currents, Mr. Reynolds.
Miss Croft.
If you'll excuse me, I have to carry these bags for the Lord and Lady and Lord.
Young master.
I do like this atmospheric haze. It's quite a change from London, and I appreciate it.
The pollen this type of year always blows in with the door opening.
It's fortunate that none of us have any allergies whatsoever.
That would be a shame and could disqualify one from service.
Of course, we haven't had time to get to any cleaning in the garage, but we didn't want to interrupt anything in your space.
I appreciate that. Yes, one should never enter a lady's space without explicit permission.
Oh my! It has begun.
Heavens forfend! No one here would ever do such a thing.
Perfect.
We are people of culture and honor out here, unlike the underclass of the city folk.
Oh damn!
I wouldn't know anything about the underclass of the city folk, Mr. Currents. You must be more familiar than I.
Oh, how I
That is
missed
not
Squeaky
that is
Van.
not something
I have
that is not
things to
something I
do,
talk about.
and I leave.
Oh my goodness. This probably the
Anyhow,
smart decision in this case.
it seems that you are quite occupied with your current duties, and I sort of, glance at the heavy bags you're carrying, and just a little bit of a smirk. It's like, now I have additional preparations to do. So bring those to the proper place, and we will discuss things later.
Actually,
Which
Mr.
one
Curran,
I will.
I have a question for you.
I am already walking away.
Mr. Curran, her lady demands it?
Oh, oh my.
You can probably hear me loudly humming some kind of popular ditty that's been playing on the radio these days.
Can I try to direct the staff?
Yeah, you sure can.
Ooh.
Okay, cool. Not that
Yeah.
I'm very good at this at all. I have etiquette -1.
Yes, roll plus etiquette.
Okay, cool. Woohoo!
Oh, you got an 8.
Oh.
All right. So on a 7 to 9, they follow your directives, but get to select one of the following. They'll automatically succeed their next attempt to direct you. You lose 1 prestige, or they gain 1 prestige, or they gain suspicion about one of your secrets.
So I will be nice to you this time, and I will turn around and do exactly what you want, but I will gain prestige for that.
All right, mark it. That makes you up to 3, right?
I'm not going to put you at risk of being. No, that would be uncouth of me. But no, I will happily take that prestige.
All right.
Excellent.
So, so Curran turns around.
Yes. Lady Malbane said that you would know what to do with this package, and I hand him the one from on top of the car, and this one as well, and I hand Lord Malbane's very large luggage, and this one, which I believe is the Little Lord's, and I apparently have cleaning to do in the garage, so I hope that you will take care of this, as she requested.
Absolutely. One cannot expect the new help to know where they're supposed to place everything.
So, so the prestige probably comes from the fact that yes, these are actually things that are important to the Lord and Lady. So to be able to put them in the place where they deserve to be, which is literally outside each of their rooms, because Lord and Lady don't like to be disturbed when they first arrive. It select does gain you a little prestige. So, do we ever cover? Do they sleep together? Is this
Joining
what is that?
adjoining rooms?
Adjoining rooms, but different beds.
I mean, they certainly shared some space at some point, at least once. I assume.
Well, given that
Or at least-
Delilah is significantly younger,
I
think there's a good deal of sharing of space, but
I don't think Adam was adopted, so
that's true.
Yeah.
But I would not expect that Delilah would want to sleep in the same room with a man who's approaching 90 if she's only in her 40s. She would probably appreciate occasionally the company and about it.
All right, so let's call it adjoining rooms, so that when the man wishes for company, it's easy to surreptitiously and not obviously make a thing of it. Yes, adjoining rooms, different beds, of course, in each room. So yes, so Mr. Kurt knows just where to put everything, and just know how they want them stacked. This one is smaller, but it goes underneath the other one for reasons that are unknowns to him. But yeah, there's little rhyme or reason at times in this house, you would think. Yeah, excellent. So Miss Croft, are you going straight to your garage?
Well, yes, I have to open up the door to make sure that I can actually the car inside the garage?
Yeah, so whoever preceded you was at least good enough to have like the actual area where the car would be set, very nicely well kept. In fact, there's like tools like that one would use to repair certain things on a car that are kind of on nails on the wall, you know. You do though, however, notice that it's dark as hell. There's windows. There's windows on this thing. And it's so bleak inside. So you as you're kind of in there looking around, it's like you're squinting, you wish you had some candles with you or a torch or something. But yeah, you're able to get the car in there easily enough. It's not your first time driving a car. You can kind of judge the general area, but once that door closes, you're in darkness. And you smell something coming from the back, which is kind of like, I don't say the back, it's like stairs up to like what would be like a loft over the garage is your quarters, as you've been told. And something smells. And it's also really, really dark. So like, you're probably not going to want to safely go up there without some form of light at this point. Maybe leave that for later, or you can chance
I have an electric torch in my bag.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, turn it on. You'll notice that it's like the barest level of illumination. It's like the battery is nearly dead. It's like just putting off enough. It's like, is the lens blurry? Did I get some oil on the lens? It's just weird. But yeah, so it's almost like you have to put the flashlight like close to what you're trying to look at just to get up the stairs. Once you get up there, there's like it's the basics. There's a bed as you kind of, again, you have to kind of go straight to it. There's a bed, there's a nightstand next to it, there is a desk and a chair, and then there's this little, there's a wash basin, and then there's like this little table in the center with another chair, and that's where the smell's coming from. It looks like the former chauffeur left his last meal here before he left for the season, and it's stayed there for kind of the most part.
Okay. Well, I suppose I will go to move the bowl.
Yeah, you as you move it, you immediately hear like the ee like of like mice, like, you know, mice kind of like scurrying about and making the noises they make, like that was ours.
You can have it outside. Is there a window or something that I assume there are windows up here that I can open to try to let in at least air, if not light?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the window opens, and it's like, again, it's like this haze. You can see the light outside as you look, just none of that light permeates the room you're in. But yeah, you can literally like
lean my face through the window.
Yeah, you're actually in what passes as, again, it's overcast sunlight for now, but yes, you're in it as you lean your head completely out of the building.
Yeah. Well, here's your food, mice, and I'm going to toss the bowl out the window.
Yeah, and as you notice, as you're leaning your head out, you notice that this was likely also the way that the former chauffeur did their garbage, because there's like a small heap of it that's other mice are scurrying around at the bottom as you toss it out.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right, awesome. While you're stumbling around in there, kind of putting out your clothes, let's go to Mr. Reynolds. Where did you head off to after the interaction with Ms. Croft?
What time of day is it?
I'll say it's late afternoon, nearing evening. Say 5, 6.
Then I will probably be touching up and getting a fire ready in the dining room.
Excellent. Yeah. So yeah, you're doing your thing. Let's see. Let's take a look. Since we went to the trouble of making this place, let's go to it. Kind of describe. I actually went I went on stream and actually replayed the other episode to do the manor, and kind of went through each of them and took notes, etc. on on the manor house itself. So since I took the time to do that, let's look it up. So yes, the dining room. Let's look at it. All right, so the dining room, room with a very large table. We decided it was long enough where you could do that thing where one person's at one end and one person's at the other end. They can barely hear each other. Yeah, exactly. It's large enough and has enough chairs for a good party to happen in addition to seating the family themselves. Now, if Mr. Reynolds will remember, the family has a very peculiar and very particular way of setting the place settings. They have to be just so, depending on who is eating, what day of the week it is, etc., etc. There's like in Mr. Reynolds' mind, there has to be like this weird cross-referencing chart where it's like, okay, 4 people including this person, it's Thursday. Setting here but not there, setting there but no fork, and the setting right next to it, etc., etc. And generally there are extra settings for people who are not there. So there is that. So what is the setting for today, Mr. Reynolds? I'll let you pick it. For the 3 people here and the fact that it's Thursday or something.
I will say Lord, of course, at the head of the table. The Lady Malbane in the 3rd seat. And it's a good question. Does Lord Adam Malbane seat?
You wouldn't call him Lord, I would say like Master. Yeah, young Master or Master Malbane. Master Adam.
Yeah.
Master Adam sounds right, I think.
Yeah. A young boy is Master. When he's an adult, he's Mister. So
he does sit with them when it's just them.
Yes. Yep. In fact, he does sit there the entire time.
He's grounded.
Exactly.
Which I'm not sure on their disciplining, but it's not often enough.
It probably is not.
So he is he's actually like the 7th seat down on the right. So he's literally like 4 seats away from his mother.
The way they like it, seen but not heard, not close enough to be heard, that kind of thing.
That way when he's playing with his food, they can kind of ignore it and, have some justifiable reason to.
Excellent.
They didn't notice him, throwing his food on the floor, that sort of thing.
Perfect. Cool. So yeah, the everything is set.
Years old, throwing his food on the floor.
What's that?
At 12 years old, throwing his food on the floor.
Well, the stuff he doesn't like,
He's not throwing it.
Feed the horse.
He's not throwing his food on the floor. He's making sure Petunia is well fed.
Speaking of which, did Petunia come back in the car? Apparently not.
No. If you'll notice, I want you to take notice of something. If you look on the WorldAnvil site, she's listed as a member of the family with the lowest rank. I ranked them from highest rank to lowest rank on the list. And you will notice that all the rest of the family are listed as neutral NPCs. And she is listed as adversarial.
Uh-huh.
She is not here. Yes. So she is not here because she's considered a family member. I would have mentioned her had she been along. Or I wouldn't have done the National Lampoon's Vacation thing where she was on, Miss Croft forgot that she had hitched her to the back of the car type of thing. We don't do that here. But yes. So Petunia is not in the house as of this time. Petunia, the mini horse, pet of the family. So yeah, table is set. You are the dining room is right off the kitchen. So you do kind of smell that distant like food smell, that cooking, coming from that dumbwaiter that's housed in there. The door, it's always closed unless you're actually getting food out of it. But yeah, it's like, again, you've been here. How long have Mr. Current and Mr. Reynolds been here this season so far? How many days would you say?
Oh, like winter?
Yeah, like you would have been in London with the rest of the family up until like a week ago.
In advance, maybe.
Yeah, like a week though, or how long?
I think a week.
A week, okay. So yeah, so the rest of this week.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so the rest of this week, that the dumbwaiter hasn't offered any bounty, but suddenly you smell the kind of wafting of the food, and I suppose that's good or bad because, as you well know, whatever comes up from the dumbwaiter that nobody knows where it freaking comes from, you must serve it, whatever it is. Now, the rule doesn't state like if you can be creative with serving it, just that the food that comes up must be served. Something to think about. Mr. Current, what are you doing in this really quick respite from the serving the Lord and Lady directly?
Drop things off. I've arranged it just so, and well, I mean, the dusting has been finished. Most likely, I would be concentrating. I know the Malbanes' habits and patterns, that they're obviously going to go for dinner next, and Mr. Reynolds is already working on setting up the dining room. So I'd probably know where they would plan to, where they generally go after dinner and that. And I'd probably just get to work on making those rooms, tidy and proper and ready for whoever comes in there. Such as like the drawing room or the smoking room or whatever.
Gotcha.
Pretty much just trying to catch up on making sure everything is in order, everything is dusted, and everything is in place.
Sure. So let's see. So the drawing room would probably be a good one for Lady Malbane and Adam. The drawing room is described as the waiting room for the family before dinner and the retreat for the ladies and children after dinner. So yeah, that'd be good. So yeah, you're already getting the drawing room ready then?
Yeah, assuming that's where they generally go after dinner.
Yeah, Lord Malbane would probably retreat back to his smoking room, just because. But they would, the Lady Malbane and Adam would certainly expect for the drawing room to have like an aperitif waiting for her and some little crumpet type thing for him.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And you've already prepared it, so good job. You've already cleaned off the antlers of the you've already cleaned off the antlers of the animals that don't normally have antlers, that have grown the cobwebs between then and now, and will probably be growing back sometime before the next several days.
Yeah, I guess in the smoking room, I will be sure to the master's favorite reclining chair that he sits in, near the fire. Oh, I guess I should start the fire in that room so it's nice and warm by the time he comes in, because it's still a bit nippy here in March.
True story.
And for him to sit and relax at the little side table beside that, there are going to be 2 brandy snifters and a brand new bottle of brandy. The seal broken, the lid ready to come off, ready for him to drink.
Excellent. And actually, that's where, as I described before, that's where you find Lord Malbane. Right now, he's nodded off in one of his overstuffed chairs. He's just kind of like sitting back. And this room is kind of the picture of masculine opulence. It's all that hard, dark, lacquered wood, with the kind of like the squarish patterns molded straight into it. A small bookshelf over there. Several areas for the supplies for both cigars and the brandy. There's like probably a long line of types of brandy and boxes of cigars, etc., etc. And it looks like he originally meant to get a cigar, but never really made it that far, and just kind of sat down in the chair, and he's napping. He's slowly, kind of quietly snoring.
Yeah, the cigars and the brandy I expect will be kept in a locked cabinet within there, just to keep anyone else from getting at that. He would definitely have a key to help himself, but I would also have a key. So he looks like he was going to, but he's fallen asleep. I'll make a point to getting the brandy snifter and some brandy out for him, as well as one of his favorite cigars, as well as like the cigar cutter, and the lighter. And I'll just gently lay those all down on the table next to him without making a sound. Just very gently, moving around, stepping softly, keeping to the rugs, and lay everything down so that when he comes to, most likely he'll believe that he put everything there himself.
Excellent. All right. Ms. Croft, are you coming in from the garage, which doubles as your home? Are you are you staying out there for safety's sake? Are you coming in? What's Ms. Croft's plan here? Given that it's closing in on dinner time.
Yeah, it's closing in on dinner time. In case there's any extra help needed, I want to be present and available, because being a chauffeur is obviously not just being a chauffeur for his family. I also need to carry the several cases of woodwinds up to the
the conservatory.
I did not want to trust those to my current, because obviously they are very valuable and expensive.
Does Ms. Croft know about the conservatory?
Probably not.
If she's a new hire.
Yes, so Ms. Croft all she knows is that the woodwinds keep getting broken and lost, and we must replace them so we can have a decent quartet up there on occasion.
Yes.
Plus Adam is being trained in the oboe.
Perfect.
So good. Yeah, so you kind of carry this. It's probably in one of those, those wooden crates, with the rope handles on the sides type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
A little kind of like a little twist to like the latch to open it. The woodwinds don't come cheap. These are decently expensive instruments we're talking here. But yeah, you get up, you kind of have to fumble your way kind of through the hallways, and once you do find the conservatory, it's kind of obvious the room. It's like you open the door and you see the other instruments, and again, it's like why do all the other instruments not get broken or stolen? What's so special about these? Are they worth more? You'd think. Look, I mean, you've been on there a block a few times. Look at over there. There's a literal violin. It's not a Stradivarius, but that's a pretty expensive looking thing. I mean, okay, whatever. So down it goes. The conservatory itself, aside from like chairs, like kind of folding chairs to kind of sit to watch a performance. You have like the various stands for music, benches for players to sit at, and the various instruments lined up along the walls and spaced throughout the room. The floor itself is kind of like one of those black and white chess tiles done in marble. And even as you kind of do your thing, you kind of put the thing down, you hear like the acoustics of, that if you put the sound of the box being put down carry just perfectly, even way over there to the other side of the room. So, there's some engineering design that went into this. But yeah, you kind of put things up. It looks like, there's a stand for each of them, kind of unpack them and put them there. Do you play any at all for kicks, or do you do anything to the instruments themselves, or are you leaving well enough alone at this point?
Well, I'm definitely not going to touch the one already in the place where I would like them to be, because I don't trust myself to be able to put them exactly back in the right portion. I have been known as a clarinet player in times past, so I'll put them all there and then just go to do a couple little quiet scales.
All right. So yeah, you kind of put your lips to the reed, wet it just a little bit as you need to as you're getting that clarinet going, and then what should be this relaxing, low, even tone, this scale that you're doing comes out. It's like you can hear your technique in the scream. Like, you kind of brought it in and up and then down, and so does the scream, and it goes down. So it's like this. You almost drop the thing in surprise. It's like this. That's not right. We don't like this at all.
I carefully put it on the stand, take the empty case, and leave the room.
Excellent. Mr. Kern, I will say that you heard the scream, and from where you were at, and you definitely, it's something that is recognizable. It's like you've heard it before for those new people who didn't know better, or you forgot to tell, or what have you. But it's a distinct scream. It's like the scream is the same voice, and you don't know where the hell this is. Like, no matter what instrument is played, it's the same scream from the same voice. But you don't recognize the voice. That's the weird. Well, is that the weird part? I don't think so, but it's a weird part.
No.
Excellent.
Well, I mean, there's the question. I don't recognize voice, or maybe I do.
Or
but,
maybe
I mean, no, sometimes this happens to new people when, somebody like a housekeeper or the butler very deliberately doesn't tell them about that.
Funny. All right. Excellent. So we'll cut ahead to the dumbwaiter is wheeling itself up, and you hear the bell ring. There's like this mechanism, there's like a knot in the rope of the dumbwaiter, where when it gets up to this point where it's like openable, and safe to open, the knot contacts this bell on this like little spring that ding, 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 ding. So who's in the kitchen to hear that? Or have all three of you gathered there by this time?
I know Mr. Reynolds would be there.
Yeah, I would probably be there.
Okay.
That would probably be my signal to make my way there.
Okay. And you were in the dining room before, right?
It's in the smoking room, and then I don't know wherever else I would have ended up.
Okay.
Probably just around.
Okay. The bell does kind of rouse Lord Malbane. And is that the dinner bell, Current?
Oh, that's the bell for the preparation of dinner. It's not quite served yet, but it will be very soon, sir.
He kind of gets up, pushes himself up, that kind of exasperated old man sound as you get up that actually I make in real life. Always count on you, Current. He kind of dawdled his way towards that general direction, and as preceded by you as you're scurrying off to do what you do. By the time you get there, we'll say Croft and Current arrive at the same time. And Reynolds, are you like in the process of actually opening the dumbwaiter?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm responsible for doing is, opening the dumbwaiter and, putting things on the, table that's outside. Because the dumbwaiter comes up to an actual kitchen. It's just not used.
The kitchen is presently not used.
Setting things on the table, because usually it's, sort of all stacked in there, multiple items.
Right. This time you see, again, it comes in different forms. And but this time it's kind of like it's on those I don't know what the proper term for them is, but like where you get the food served to you and it has a little cover on top, the chef's top.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm talking about, like you get at the fancy hotels, you know. So there's a bunch of larger plates with the tops on them, stacked. This is a decently sized large waiter. We'll say it's like a good 4 feet wide. You might have to kind of reach in to get into everything, but it's a little chilly in there, by the way, strangely.
An accident waiting to happen.
No! Why would you say something like that? But yes, probably. So yes, kind of reach in to get the stuff. Plate after plate gets put onto the table. This is this is kind of what the table in the kitchen is there for, and in this instance, for this group, this usage, it's like a decently large size table so that you can take stuff out of the dumbwaiter and put it straight onto the table, however it comes to you. And about 6 platters are put out.
Oh, so there are more staff. I thought that you said that it was just the 3 of us. Did we hire someone new before you left London?
I looked at Mr. Current and then looked back. I'm like, we've never had the pleasure of meeting the cook.
Oh.
Never. As it's been given to our understanding that the cook is a very private person who, while an absolute culinary genius, does not enjoy the company of other people, and mostly appreciates our
Absence?
sending back up the empty platters to prove that the meal was very much enjoyed.
Well,
I lean
surely,
kind of conspiratorially. I'm like, that is, if there is a cook.
God damn it!
surely that's a lot of dishes. Surely they must need help, right? I think I'll just pop downstairs after dinner and help out with the dishes.
If you
Do we know how to get downstairs?
stairs, you're more than willing to try. Otherwise, we'll happily send you down in the dumbwaiter to whatever thing might be down there.
Wait. Now, I can't help but get the feeling, gentlemen, that there's something going on here that perhaps one or the other of you is not being especially forthcoming about. Because Mr. Current referenced a culinary genius, and now you, Mr. Reynolds, are implying that there's something much more problematic and less hospitable than a culinary genius waiting somewhere where there are not stairs. Please.
Once you stay a few nights, you'll get a lay of the land. You'll settle in just fine.
Yes, I've definitely not yet noticed anything strange, but I'm sure I will eventually.
That will come. All right. You do hear the clinking of fork to glass, and Lady Malbane. A woman could starve to death out here.
I pick up the first platter. I would assume Mr. Current would be getting the wine or something, whatever they drink with dinner.
Indeed, I will. I will handle that.
Okay.
So,
is wine already waiting, or do you have to go back to your is it the pantry for the butler?
Yes, the pantry where I can't keep things in the most convenient places. But yeah, that won't take long. I'll bring a plat. Well, leave the platter there. I'll just go and fetch a nice bottle. I'm sure it's a nice bottle, and bring it back. And carry it in one hand. I'll have a big platter with a bunch of glasses in the other hand. And then I'll walk out to the dining table, put the wine down, make sure everybody has a glass. And then
a quick aside as we kind of as Current zips in and out of his office known as the pantry. So yes, the pantry is the butler's office, also storage for fine china, silver, as well as the wine cabinet to which he holds the key. Access is carefully supervised. So yes, the thing is that yes, the silver tends to tarnish a little quickly, so Mr. Current does have his work cut out for him, generally speaking. But yes, so he kind of rushes in, unlocks the cabinet, grabs a bottle, locks the cabinet, heads back, and we'll say that all three of you converge on the dining room at the same time. Two of you, Miss Croft and Mr. Reynolds with platters, and Mr. Current with the wine, the bottle of wine.
Go around with a platter, and now, do they serve themselves, or do they expect to be served?
In this household, I'm going to say they expect to be served the first helping from a platter. Everything else after that, they do themselves.
Okay.
So I will be closely following Mr. Reynolds' lead.
Gotcha. And of course, serve from the left, only the left. Serve from the left, pick up from the right. Don't ever forget that. You will get a thrashing. So,
and using the corkscrew, I will pull the cork on the bottle of wine. Lily, right in front of them, as is proper. One certainly cannot poison wine that it was sealed before it was opened right in front of you.
Yes.
It's just one of those many, many things. Same way handshakes developed out of a way to check for hidden knives up sleeves. So, and then as the glasses are out, I'll go around behind Mr. Reynolds and pour the wine.
Yeah, so first has to, Lord Malbane has to sample the wine. You pour the little bit in, he swirls it around, takes a swig of it. Little vinegary, it'll do. Puts it down and gestures for you to fill the rest of it up. He is generally a large glass of wine, not that little piddling sampling one that Lady Malbane takes. But yes, as you're kind of going around with the wine, you notice that Adam's seat is vacant, and it's just as you are kind of, everyone is kind of like, oh, see, we forgot to check to make sure the kid was around, that he comes in and he is wearing someone else's clothes, oversized, and it appears covered in blood. Is that? He's like, he kind of walks in and he's all flappy because the arms are longer than him, the legs are longer, and he's like, hey, look at me. I'm Mr. Reynolds. He's kind of looking around and nobody's getting the joke, so he kind of just, they're all quiet. They're literally just giving the stern, quiet look. So he sees that he's not getting an amusement for anybody, and he kind of hops onto his chair and pushes up the sleeves of Mr. Reynolds' last pair of clothes that he wore earlier, and gives a smile to everyone. Such an angelic little creature.
I serve him a little.
Master Adam, you adorable little scamp, you have deigned to join us. Would you perhaps like to change into more formal dining attire? I can certainly assist you with that.
I would not. I wash my hands, not to worry.
I think that's going to call for a roll.
Or are you going to actually try to direct the family?
Guide their direction.
Okay.
Because,
Good luck.
What? I am nothing if not stupid.
All right, roll plus persuasion. When you discreetly attempt to guide a non-staff person's actions, roll plus persuasion. Roll well. No pressure. A 6.
Ah!
So yes,
Move time.
as we've noticed, this system is unforgiving. So the fact that you're kind of almost ordering the child in front of his parents doesn't go over well. And Mr. Curtin, you can almost feel that prestige you got earlier just fade away into the ether as if it never existed. You're still the highest prestige individual in the house, as far as you're aware, at least. But yeah, the child will stay wearing the clothes he wishes. He has to learn to be assertive sometime, right?
And I lose that 1 prestige, huh?
You're still at your beginning, so. But yes, so that happens.
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe I'll be Mr. Current next time.
A fine choice, Master. As I serve the appetizer.
Yeah, what we haven't has anyone opened up the top to see what the hell it is yet?
Well, I assume we're not doing that. I assume that's the main course.
Well, everything came out on the big platters with the covers.
So yes, I'll open it up.
All right. So it looks like it's. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it looks like the cut off tentacles of what must have been a sea monster of some sort. And there looks to be some kind of vinegary type of glaze on it. But it's cut into manageable pieces, and there's like the grabbing tongs, like for salad that are placed underneath there, and you're able to kind of serve it as like an appetizer, as you say.
Fine taste of the sea, and I serve him some tentacles that I assume are from a known sea creature.
Probably. Odds are decent. Odds are fair to Midland.
Above my pay grade, so.
Excellent. Let's see, Ms. Croft, are you serving anything right away?
Yes, I am. I lift up my lid to hold it out in front of Lady Malbane.
Excellent.
I assume with some sort of serving utensil.
Yeah, so you kind of the way you kind of remove the cover, it's like away from you, so you don't see it as Lady Malbane does. And she's like, you don't at first know what the frick she means by "I prefer the eye." And as you kind of remove it and you see it, oh my god, that's a sheep's head that's been apparently boiled. It has some greens around the side of it to be served theoretically with it. But and it also has interestingly enough serving tongs and a long tined fork with 2 tines.
Okay. Well, I will kind of awkwardly set the top down on the floor because I neglected to think of this strategy. I'll put the lid down on the floor and the long tine and sort of like dig out the eye and
Thank you for the sound effect.
Oh, you're welcome. Put it on the plate and then shake it a little bit to get it off.
Yeah, it's like it's like furiously trying not to come off, defying gravity and force.
And then
it falls
put
off.
that back and grab the tongs and put a delicate pinch of greens.
Nice.
Would your ladyship like anything else?
That'll be enough.
Perfect.
Lord Malbane himself is, I prefer the cheek, Croft. Make it a meaty cheek.
Meaty cheek?
I love my cheeks meaty.
Yes. Yes, you do. I'm very clear. My cheek is not very meaty.
Yes. You're new to the family, Croft, so I'm going to tell you this. This recipe, as if you can smell the delicious scent coming off of it, has been passed down from my family for centuries. Ever since we made part of our fortune in herding of various 4-legged beasts. It's immaterial.
I'm sure the orchard was great feeding, my lord, the sheep. And I scoop him out some nice cheek and right.
Yeah, by the time you turn to Adam, he has like the tentacles sticking out of his mouth as he's like slurping it up. Like, none for me.
As you wish, Master Malbane. And I assume that you, Mr. Reynolds, put the platter on the table. So
Yeah, the platter's on the table, and again, after the first course, or after the first serving is given, they'll serve themselves if they choose. Do you all remain in while they eat, or does anyone leave? What's your thing? What's your plan for that? What do you do for that?
Oh, I will leave and go into the kitchen to see what else in there to be a bit more prepared.
Gotcha. The
And I
dumbwaiter
generally stay to tidy up, whatever, someone drops a napkin, whatever.
Oh, sure. What about Mr. Current?
I will wait to the back and left of Sir Malbane, topping off drinks as required, and otherwise fetching things, clearing away dishes if no longer needed. Just, being useful, being quiet.
Excellent. So, you do see the only real noticeable thing is that there's like a little small talk that happens, but all the while you notice Adam is eyeing you. You've seen that eye before. He likes to watch. He likes to see what you're doing. His curiosity. You've piqued his curiosity with your demand for him to change, and now you become his little fixation for the moment. And you know that it's hard to get that fixation changed to someone else.
I didn't demand he change. I suggested
Too audacious. So yes. So you kind of notice like that curious eyeball on you regularly. That's a sentence you never thought you'd hear in your lifetime, did you? Curious eyeball on you. But there we are. So there was I forget what was it? Was it the movie Remains of the Day where one of the guy Anthony Hopkins, who plays the butler, makes some comment like, for the butler, the room is even more empty with him in it, and that kind of thing. That's the perfect butler.
Yeah.
So that's kind of you at the moment I'm envisioning. Again, and just as a note, I obviously we don't want to be focusing on the minutia of your days or anything. Normally, we're not going to be going breakfast, lunch, and dinner or anything like that. I just figured this is a good first stopping point to kind of see how this works and how eccentric we're already looking at. So they will as they kind of finish dinner, either slurping up their tentacles or eating their cheeks and eyeballs, and they kind of retire to their rooms. Mr. Lord Malbane to his smoking room, Lady Malbane and Adam to the drawing room to kind of relax after dinner. That's where we'll take our halfway through break. We'll be back in 10 minutes and see what else happens this evening.
Perfect.
Excellent.
All right.
I will see you all in 10. We'll be right back. 10 minutes. All right, we're back. So, yeah. So
You
again,
can be back. I'll be Beethoven.
that was actually not funny at all. So, I'm sorry. I'll usually try to give you credit, but not on that one. You save the wit for in character. You'll need it. Everyone will need it. I will need it. But yeah. So anyway, as I was talking about before, we definitely won't be going over the minutia of every single day. But this is kind of a good way to break everybody in and get them about their duties, get a feel for how the Malbanes do their thing, etc., etc. All right. So yes, they've the Malbanes themselves have retired to their separate rooms after dinner. In the drawing room, you do hear Lady Malbane kind of, I don't know, like doting on her son. Oh, have another cake. Here. No. Have another. You deserve it. You've been such a good boy. Meanwhile, in the other room, the smoking room, Lord Malbane is definitely taking a cigar. He's probably, if anyone was watching him, he probably gulped down a little too much brandy to start with. Didn't even taste it. But now he's kind of settled into his favorite chair, feet propped up, cigar in one hand, snifter of brandy in the other. He's already warmed it up over a candle, and it's just right. Everyone's settling in, so it's rather quiet. So this gives the staff a little time to do other things and attend to the Malbanes. So what would you want to do, each of you? Together or apart or whatever? What would you like to do with this time? Is there any part of the house you need to explore yet? Anything you want to try to set right? Anything you want to do in the meantime?
Miss Croft, where was Petunia when you came back?
Is Petunia the horse?
It is. I think I would have said Lady Petunia.
Yes. Well, Lady Petunia was taking her air out in the yard, at my suggestion, because the car is rather expensive and was just painted. So
yeah, Petunia is not here again, just to remind you. But she is being kept.
Oh, I thought we were talking about in London.
In the city, yeah, she's being kept in London. So yes, if you're talking about London, maybe I misread that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was talking about London.
Yes.
Like, good. That's the last thing I will need to clean up this evening with the Lord and Lady returning to the house.
Yes, I must confess, I'm very grateful that it was just the three of them, because I don't want to drive an animal that's meant to be walking or ridden in a vehicle that is confined and have its hooves near my head.
I could see how that could be inconvenient.
Well put.
I think we're maybe having this conversation as, we're clearing, the plates to, put in the dumbwaiter to send down. By all means, if you can figure out how to go downstairs, I'm sure whatever's down there would love your company.
Whatever. He's already decided it's not a person.
I'm thinking I might send a letter, perhaps, or a little note. Surely that will give the cook enough space to not feel any sort of social or societal pressure.
As you wish.
You say that like it's a bad idea.
It's not my idea, so I have no reason to judge whether it's bad or good.
Oh, damn. The wit is razor sharp tonight, by the way.
Shall I be fetching paper and pen to take this note for you?
Sure. That would be lovely.
Of course. Yeah.
Dictation. You have no lack. You certainly have no lack of skill, Mr. Curran.
And so I stand up and I head towards my office. It's under my breath. At least one person here can read and write.
So are you going back to the pantry to fetch pen?
Pretty much just, a little pen and ink and like a sheet of paper.
Okay. So as you're kind of going down the hallway toward the pantry, you hear, like, as you walk, you hear, and then you stop. The sound stops. You take a few more steps, and you hear. And if you look back real fast, you'll see Adam kind of slipping around the corner. so as not to be seen by you, very stealthily, I might add. And he kind of will follow you down unless you interact with him in some way as you're going towards your pantry.
No, I'll let him follow. He needs to. Obviously, he's up to something. I need him to show his hand.
He'll follow you to the pantry and kind of look in, peer in, look around. This is probably not a room he comes to often, only because it's really not a very interesting room, especially to a child of his age. And he kind of just looks around. And then by the time you get your thing, he zoops out of the way. And when you come out of the pantry, he is nowhere to be seen at this point. Maybe he's upped his stealth game. We don't know.
Be sure to close and lock the door behind me.
Excellent. So yeah, as you start walking back, you'll hear a little farther away, thump, 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 etc., etc.
It's certainly a pleasant and quiet night. No footsteps to be heard. No rust dishes or anything. The moon is visible in a clear sky. I'll stand by the window and just kind of look at it, casually. It is truly wonderful when one is alone and can be themselves. At which point I'll take out a cloth or something. I'll begin dusting whatever random thing I'm close by. Then I'll peer at the window and try and wipe a little spot out of it, whether or not there is one or whatever. Truly, this is the good life. And then I'll
continue
on back to them. Then I'll continue on back to them.
You hear a snicker at the good life. Not even the kid believes that. So yes. Meanwhile, Ms. Croft and Mr. Reynolds, as you're waiting for the pen and paper to come back, the little dinger from the dumbwaiter goes off a couple more times impatiently. Ding, wait another couple minutes. As if hungry for the return of its bounty. And that's about when Current walks back in. Reynolds, as you're kind of expectantly looking for Current, you do see just a tidbit of Adam down the hallway. And as he sees you see him, he kind of hops. So he's now fully around the corner and out of your eye shot.
Oh, I think as they dictate, I'll put the last dish that I have in the dumbwaiter and let them send it down, and I'll need to take care of a few things in my office as well.
Excellent.
But I think I'm gonna, see if I can talk to Adam on the way by. But
so, what does the letter say, Ms. Croft?
I just will. When Mr. Current returns, I will thank him cordially and take the pen and paper to write the note myself. And
I will put on an overly feigned look of shock when she does that.
That Ms. Croft has literacy.
I appreciate your chivalry, taking the time to go get this for me. But we do have better schools on the continent than there are here. And I'll just a basic greeting of dear cook, thank you for the food. Yours truly, the new chauffeur.
Excellent.
And I'll stick it on there.
Stick it on the pile of stuff. As it gets sent down, you hear kind of the waiter doesn't always go quietly or easily. You hear the rope being kind of yanked on as it kind of gets past a little stuck area. And before you know it, it must be at the bottom because you don't hear any movement anymore, and you hear a clattering of pans. And then silence. Dead silence. Mr. Reynolds, you're saying you're going to go to your office.
I was going to see if I could, comment to the air near Master Adam. Because of course I don't imply that I see him.
Yeah, so how do you comment on that as you go by?
So I'm, almost, past the end of the hall, and I stop for a second as if I'm, adjusting my coat. And it says, if you truly want a set of Mr. Current's clothing, I could make arrangements.
Ooh. Interesting. He's like,
I don't know if this is getting their direction or if that's something that they already want to do anyways.
Interesting. You kind of hear like a little tee. I can get it myself. You didn't see me. Or that he kind of, you hear him kind of, must be like backstepping really quick in his stocking feet. Because of course he took off his hard shoes. What kind of skulk would think to keep his shoes on for that? And before you know, he's kind of made his own way.
And I'll continue to my office to take anything from the center of the table that may have been placed on the edge of the table and put something on it so that it doesn't roll to the center of the table.
Yes, the floor is not flat.
Mail or bills or anything that may have been, set on the table.
Right. So yeah, to describe for the viewer, unlike the upstairs drawing room, the sitting room serves as a room for housekeeping and accounting. Everything from lists of needed items to staff schedules to inventories of household linens, etc. This is the domain of Mr. Reynolds, and all his notes and sundry, extra little tidbits and bobs and items, most of which are strangely like strapped down to the table. The table itself seems to be like has a wedge on one side. It's as if you were almost on a ship that was constantly moving, and things needed to be kind of battened down, else they move throughout the room. The sitting room.
And I'll probably just, take notes of, what was used, so it can be replaced.
Excellent. Yeah, there in your original inspection, you found some stuff that was moth-eaten, etc. Some linens. The chauffeur will definitely have to go into town at some point to fetch the replacements that you've ordered from town. There is that.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'm sure I'll have to give that direction.
For good or for bad. Yeah, cool. All right, so everyone's doing their own thing. It's almost time to turn in. Is there anything special that you all do before night falls, or as night falls, as the family is getting ready to retire for the evening to their rooms?
I would like to go back to the garage while there's still some.
Well, there's still some what?
While there's still some light outside.
There's barely a light outside, but yes. And it doesn't help much in the garage itself. You still need your torch at all times.
Right, but it still helps me feel a little bit better knowing that there is some light. And just
that you could stick your head out into, yes.
Yeah.
What do you do in there? What's your goal here? Are you packing anything away?
No, I just am going to bed.
Oh, you're retiring.
I regretfully look at the little stack of penny novels that I had, but those will not be being read in my new quarters.
They will probably not. No. Yes, it's as if again, light comes here to die.
What a metaphor.
So
nothing suspicious about that at all.
Not at all. Not at all. So yes. So Ms. Croft, you yeah. It is funny though. Ms. Croft is like, yeah, I don't have any duties right now. I don't help people go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed myself. Bye. Kind of checks out, leaving the butler and the housekeeper to tend to the family, to help them retire.
Aside from, turning down the covers, which we probably would do when they're in the drawing room and such, what would be the expectations? I know I would be in charge of, once they leave the drawing room and smoking room, cleaning those two, before morning.
Mm-hmm. I will say
I would also stop by Master Adams to see if he, if he has, thrown the dirty, bloody clothes on the floor so that I can clean them and
Certainly.
put them back in my cabinet.
Right. So yeah. So yes, I would assume yes. The housekeeper's more concerned about things are being just right, just in place. Mr. Current, yeah, you'd probably be concerned with like the nightcaps, the evening drinks and whatnot for the family. Again, like the Lord Malbane probably has something like a port before going to bed. The lady probably has some kind of like rose water or something, and warm milk for Master Adam. You'd probably be in charge of delivering each of those to each of the family members in their separate bedrooms, or at least to the door.
Yeah. Leave it. Bring things that into the rooms I'm supposed to bring them to. Otherwise, one of those little side tables next to the door, just gently knock.
Oh, exactly. So they don't have to interact with you. Those really thin side tables, Yes. So yeah,
the little side tables to keep vases or whatever on. Little nightcap, whatever. It's like Lady Delilah's room. And it's just I put it down and it's just, and then I walk away.
Excellent. All right. So everyone kind of takes their thing in turn. Adam, he's the only one that interacts with you at all, and it's like you're getting the eye, that eye of watching. As you put the thing down and give the knock, he comes out, takes it, and like as he's drinking it all in one long sip, his eyes never break from focusing on your soul. He's watching you. He's watching you good.
Oh, it's going to be one of those nights, is it?
But yeah, so then he puts it down and just kind of it's like this little game he plays with some of you, some of the people on staff. He kind of puts the little teacup down that he drinks the milk out of and moves that and like the saucer to like the edge. So like if just the right wind would come by, everything goes shattering down to the ground. And with that, he goes to his room and slams the door, which the little teeter, threatening to go down at any time.
No. I mean, if I'm aware of this, I'm obviously going to correct it after he goes to his room. And I am going to ensure that he goes to his room.
Oh yes, he's definitely in his own room. In fact, you hear the little lock click into place right behind him. So he's locked himself in his room.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like his mother is going to come and tuck him in or anything. So,
no, of course not.
So yes, and then with that, it's time to turn in. Have we talked about your rooms beyond the kind of general description we've already kind of just by default given Ms. Crop's room. Again, your rooms are very much the same. I think I think I mentioned that they're very, bereft of anything. It's a small room, Europeanly small, with a cot, little table with a wash basin, kind of a desk or table at one side and a chair to sit on in front of it, and like a little storage crate underneath your cot, and that's really it. That's pretty standard. Do any of you keep like personal items out? Put that crucifix on the wall, or along with the garlic bulbs or whatever, or do you put anything else out, or any personal items to that one little thing that personalizes a room? Do you guys put any of those out, or do you kind of leave it as bereft as you moved into it as?
I think mine on the surface is fairly sparse. Whether there's anything hidden away is unknown for everyone, but I think I have a little hat stand on the table as well for the hat that I wear. And I think there's a little mirror next to the wash basin, which may or may not be standard.
Cool. You have to know that you look good before you step in front of the family. Excellent. It's strange how, like, if you light a candle, light actually goes into parts of the room. It's just crazy how that works.
Blinding, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like blinding. It's so bright sometimes with that one little candle. I'm sure it's like that for everyone, all of you. But Mr. Current, what's your room look like? Any personal items displayed there?
There definitely is probably a small standing wardrobe in which I have several of my suits in there. Must be dressed properly at all times.
Most certainly.
And the small desk and chair for the occasional time I do need to, write something. Actually, no, I would just use my office and pantry for that. So yeah, probably just a wardrobe, a mirror to make sure that I am dressed properly. Okay, so I probably have like a small table or whatever, upon which I, keep my shaving kit and a basin that I fill with water and dump out as needed. For that, with the razor and some soap and the brush and all of that, and to keep up my appearances. Around the foot of the bed, there are actually a couple of sacks of flour. They're a pair of actually, yeah, there's a pair of 10-pound sacks and a pair of 20-pound sacks of flour that I just keep by the foot of the bed. And as part of my evening routine, I essentially use them as dumbbells, and I just continue doing just a basic, use them as weights, just do sort of some basic arm exercises. Depending how I'm feeling, I might use the lighter ones or I might use the heavier ones, but keeping your arms in good working order is a very good way to avoid getting fired. As occasionally people's arms have given way and have caused a minor disaster, which has usually resulted in outrage, screaming, and so many dismissals.
Nice.
And so that's one lesson I've taken from my servicing here is if you're not gonna do anything else, work on those arms, keep them in shape, because the family needs you to carry everything.
Nice.
Yeah, otherwise it's a very, very simple bed, probably just, a cot or whatever. And oh yes, and yeah, and a small like nightstand the couple of drawers in it would contain socks and other small cloths, as they called them, and a single candle in a holder, and usually a couple of books. And there's usually a couple of books sitting there. One with a bookmark, which actually is a fine silk ribbon in it. And if you were to look at the books, you would probably shake your head, as they're basically somewhere between a Penny Dreadful and a Harlequin romance.
Interesting. So yes, so basically, some bedrooms are more bereft of personal items than others. Is the summation here?
Yeah,
and some have workout rooms and other goodies. So that's cool.
Oh, it's not a workout room. I just sit in my bed and do arm curls and stuff.
Workout room by another name, So so the nights at Malbane Manor vary. It could be said. This is, for one thing, this is an old place. This is a centuries old home that was, originally, built as actually a lord's manor house. Whoever lived here, the former Malbanes, probably. I'm not sure if any of you have really looked up like the history of the building itself, but it's likely, the Malbane ancestors lived here when they really were the lords of the land, having literal legal control over the serfs in the area, and through the years it was repurposed, built on, parts of it knocked down and restructured. So the place is constantly settling because it never really got that chance. So there's creaks and there's bangs and bumps and screeches and other things. And maybe those are mice in the walls. You don't know. You hope that those scratches in the walls are mice. But yeah, so
I have pretty good evidence that mine are.
You have pretty good evidence. They're like forming like a revolt at this point. There's like an army of them coming to get you for throwing away their food. So the night passes as quietly as it can for you. When morning comes, we'll say you kind of go through your kind of normal routine. However, right after breakfast, you hear those fateful words come from Adam as he puts on his boots and heads for that front door. He says the words that every person who's ever served at Malbane Manor dreads to hear. I'm going to go exploring. And with that, if no one does anything, he will open the door, wave to his mother, take a step out.
I will go with him.
I unfortunately was not able to attend and did not witness this happening. I was using the privy.
Yeah, I want to go with him. I want to serve the house, to actually accompany him.
Interesting.
Exploring in the ground.
Actually,
there's a different move for
yes,
leaving the house.
Yes, there's a little different move here, which we'll get to. Don't get ahead of me, Jason. Reynolds, are you accompanying also, or are you finishing serving?
No. This porcelain skin doesn't, care itself.
Exactly. Need to stay in the sheltered area.
So much cleaning to do now that now that there's people back in the manor.
Excellent. All right, let's get to that move that Jason was alluding to. Let's see here. So that is go out on the grounds.
Okay.
So as I always do, you're in charge of your character sheet. I know that there is a move that the chauffeur has that makes this a little easier. I don't know if you have it or not, but that's your responsibility to kind of keep track of that.
I believe it's a given move, actually.
Yeah, it's built in.
Okay. So what is that move? Actually, let's go to it real quick. I have that available, so let's go to chauffeur and take a look at that since we're.
I have better footwear, so I roll with something when I'm traveling outside.
Let's see. And what's the name of that move? Oh, better footwear.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, it's right there. Okay, cool. Again, I'm kind of back into learning mode here, so we'll kind of look at the moves the first time we use them, maybe after that, just to kind of get familiar. But yeah, so the each playbook gets given moves, which are specifically free to that playbook, like access to the Bentley and better footwear, and they're also things that can't be taken by other playbooks when they get the advance to take from another playbook. These are given moves. They are not selected moves. I forget what the other. It's not selected move, but it's another name. But you get the idea. So no one else can have either of these two except the chauffeur. So yes, because the chauffeur has better footwear, they roll something extra. So you will roll 3d6 plus.
Coincide is fortitude, I believe.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, plus fortitude. So 3d6 plus fortitude, and you'll take the 2 highest die and throw away the extra.
Okay.
Okay, this looks like...
Okay, so that will be an 11.
An 11. All right, so you did well. So on a 10 and up, you travel through the environment with no impediment or cost. Interesting. So... We'll kind of catch you there. You will walk out the door with Master Adam. Mr. Reynolds, you do actually see this happen as you're kind of cleaning up from the breakfast service, and that you probably shake your head, like, oh my, what exploring can what can go wrong now?
Well, I also know that a daytime jaunt is much safer than an evening one.
True. Very true. But yes, you finish kind of doing things, and Miss Reynolds is Lady Malbane, sorry. She is over your shoulder, kind of watching everything. She's like, Reynolds, I like it spotless exactly after breakfast. It irks me completely knowing that there are dishes and other unkempt items in the dining room right after breakfast.
Yes, my lady. Unfortunately, the chauffeur isn't available to help at the moment, but of course I will take care of it.
Oh, and she kind of focuses on that so you need assistants to do your actual duties assigned to you that we're paying you good money for?
This is a grand house, and it deserves the finest.
Oh, well, if you need assistance, certainly allow me to assist you in your duties if you can't fulfill them all to that level. And she actually picks up a couple, small saucers with teacups on them and starts dawdling over towards the kitchen door.
Please let me take them.
She's down. She is gonna put a cup in that kitchen.
Madam, I insist.
All right. Try to what do you call it? Guide the direction. Roll plus persuasion.
I would never hear the end of it if she actually carried something to the kitchen.
If
she saw the kitchen.
That is true.
Ouch!
The dice are not kind. So, you see her kind of, let's see here. What am I looking for exactly? She kind of gets a little woozy, it seems, right as she gets to the door, and it occurs to her that, being not a servant herself, it never occurs to her I have to open the door, type of thing.
Can't hold something.
Let's see here. She kind of looks woozy, and as you kind of get there just in time to catch the glass or one of the cups from the saucer, and you feel, and as she basically, without even thinking of it, puts, is pretty much drops it. You catch it via gravity, and she puts a hand to her belly, and the other hand is shaking, and we'll say this one actually falls to the ground and cracks. Like, she's like, "Look what you've made me do, Reynolds."
Are you okay, milady? Should I...
Did I ask for your assistance? I believe you are the one that was asking for mine. Good day, sir. And she like forces this saucer that remains in her hand into your chest, basically, and with that turns away. Again, you can see that she's actually relieved she didn't have to go into the servants area of the kitchen, because that's like there's like a haze of poverty in there that she would rather not travel through. And it was just, you can tell some part of her was relieved that she didn't have to malevolently defy you. But she goes away, and she's definitely grasping at her stomach. And you like wonder where the lukewarm clams bad or something. We don't know.
The morning clams?
The morning clams, as one does in Devonshire. So you know that she immediately, if you kind of, again, you're intimately familiar with this house, like literally every nook and cranny, and you can like hear okay, she's going up there right to the bathroom.
I will clean up the broken piece of pottery.
Yep.
Sorry, porcelain.
yeah. So you clean that up. Meanwhile, Mr. Current, you're taking care of the privy or taking care of privy business. And Current, you hear this voice. I don't like her. I don't like that chauffeur. I don't like the new one.
What is it about her you don't like?
And then just nothing as happens.
Do I recognize the voice?
Yes, you're quite familiar with this voice.
Oh, is it that voice?
It is that voice.
I
would do this via note, however. We can't really play a scene via note. I won't do that. I won't do it. I just won't do it.
I know who you're talking about, so.
Excellent. So yes, it's probably a little unsettling even after this time, but yeah. What's Mr. Current's mission today? Mr. Reynolds is obviously, doing the morning cleanup as the family requires. Who knows what the chauffeur is doing? You're finishing wiping your bottom and all that stuff. In the shadows, of course. This is a strong PG-13 show, so we won't actually see Current, but yes, so that happens in the shadows off to the side. But yes, what is Current's plan for the morning?
Actually, that's a very good question. I'm not sure what I'd be doing. Adam's run off with the butler. Mr. Reynolds is occupied. Well, essentially, I mean, I'd kind of be wandering around, keeping things tidy, taking the fact that Mr. Malbane did not enjoy last night's wine, and so to move the other bottles of that wine towards the back where they're not used, or maybe leave a couple of bottles in that one corner of the pantry and see if things improve.
That's an interesting strategy.
Basically plan out better wines and drinks for the evening meal. Taking inventory of everything, making sure nothing noteworthy seems to be missing during the absence. And probably, whatever else needs to be done, just sort of general, around the house work. Mr. Reynolds can usually, technically be trusted to do as required.
Damn.
Sometimes.
That's actually a high compliment, probably.
Without direct, management. Right. They've reached a point now where if you tell them what to do, they can usually do it.
Like a good trained dog. Nice. All right.
And otherwise, and then what's the other thing? And then otherwise, I would be seeing to the household accounts.
Excellent.
Keeping track of what we have, what we need. Money that's going in and out as part of the household budget.
Right. Yeah, you definitely you haven't stocked up on everything you need. Those biscuits don't just come up from the dumbwaiter on command. You have to get those from town, etc. So you'll probably eventually need to also interact with the chauffeur, Ms. Croft. Speaking of whom, Croft, you and Adam are tramping out on the grounds. There are just strange things out there. It's like it's daytime, but you could swear you see like some bats flying on by. They had that. I'm not sure if you've ever heard a bat, but its screech seems very otherworldly. That ultrasound that it uses, and it's just unnerving. But you see more than one of them. It's like they should be in their roost by now. You kind of turn your back, and as you kind of come back to like where Adam is, he's poking. He has a stick, and he's poking at what looks like the remains of some animal that probably died of natural causes, but it's just kind of laying there, and he's poking it with a stick, as young boys do. He's like, look, will you make this dinner?
Well, let me see how old it is.
It's been there for a while. You pick it up, and it has that like too limp feel to it, like it's already being digested by the various bacterial sources within it.
Oh, you see, this is just not enough food, actually, for all of us, unfortunately. I don't think that it could even be made into a sufficient appetizer once it's chopped up and properly peeled. And I mean, here,
Pardon me,
Master Adam, see how small this is? But I'll like hold it out toward him.
Well, Damien's eaten stuff like this. He told me so. So if Damien can, why can't we?
Well, you see, Damien, Lord Damien, I should say, I'm certain ate things like that when he was in other countries that don't do things quite as well as Britain does them.
Oh, don't we make everywhere England?
Yes, indeed, and that's why he was there. Yet, he ate things before they became Britain, but now this is Britain, and so this is.
Hmm. All right then.
I am making good friends with the cook, and so if you would like me to carry this back and give it to the cook to make, then I'm certainly happy to do as your lordship commands.
Well, if it's not British to eat it, I won't. But we'll have to leave those two. And as he kind of turns around, you see that it's not just the one. There like is a line of like 8 of them, spaced like about 3 feet-ish apart. And he kind of shrugs his shoulders and starts heading back to the manor house. Come along now, Croft.
Happily, yes, happily. We should leave at least those 3.
I do want to. So I really have to look at our lines, veils, and X card sheet. What do we think about misogyny again? What are our thoughts on that? I have to look that up.
I do not recall.
We can add that in. I'll have to look at that. I'll skip the misogyny for now, just in case, because I don't want to violate any of those. I should probably have that up all the time. However, yes. So he's like, "Come along now, Croft. We'll be late for my studies."
We would not want that.
Not at all. Mind the manure.
Minding.
Yes, your leaven gets you not stepping in the manure. So good job. Your leaven scored, yes. All right. So, and it's like, Ms. Croft, having been a chauffeur, you've been in, the backwoods of places, those are the richest places to go. The places where, they're not farms or, they're estates, people are distant from each other. You've seen like, animals, that have been hunted by something else or by people left behind, that kind of thing. But it's like, you could swear there was like, this one was cold, and if you touched the other one briefly and it was like, this one is still warm and it's only the second in line. Maybe we should, make haste, get inside. And yes,
There was 8 of them.
What's that?
Didn't you say there was like 7 or 8 of them?
Yes, there's like 7 or 8, but even the second is warm, like within an hour perhaps, and perhaps the others are even fresher. We don't know. We won't find out today, because that 11 gets you not finding out what is going on here or being trapped in there. So good job.
Great, yeah.
Excellent. So yes, you're heading back to. You're heading back to the house. Meanwhile, Reynolds, you've been called up to the toilet to help the lady. She's like, "Attend me, Reynolds."
I assume they have like a bell or something too,
Sure.
Yes, I
you do the bell thing.
How may I be of service, my lady?
Let's see here. Yes. So she, you can tell that like the there's not a fun smell in here. It's not roses and lilacs in this room. Something has gone horribly wrong. The lady is just looking a little discombobulated and extra short. She has that the entire household staff has seen that look in her eyes, yes. As it's like she's on the edge of anger at all times, type of thing. And she kind of, I need your assistance. I need you to be, She's like, come here.
I will.
and she kind of shows you what she's doing. There is a this little like porcelain like dish, like with high sides, small, maybe a few inches across, an inch and a half deep, with a top that kind of fastens to it with gravity. It's not, it won't lock into place. It's porcelain, and inside it there is this slick grayish paste in there, grayish white paste. Almost looks like the inside of a seashell, like that kind of pearly gray thing, hue to it. And she's like, I need you to get just behind. And she kind of she has like her morning dress kind of pushed down as far as she can in the back, and she's like, I need you to get to the back and up the neck. And she hands you a rag that she's been using herself that has like this stuff dabbed into it, and you can tell from the kind of like the color of her skin, and this is something you've kind of grown to know. She puts this stuff on her skin, and it's some kind of beauty. She's very fascinated with cosmetics in all their fashions, and she does the rouge, she does lip rouge, and all that kind of good stuff.
And I assume, given our roles, that I probably do a little bit of this, the what would typically be considered the maid role.
Yeah, in the sense that this is,
there's no maid, there's no ballet, there's no, anything.
Right. Exactly. And whereas the butler, this would be improper for the butler to do. This is not the butler's place. You're more of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the more
junior.
No. It's like the more intimate things, like someone falls off a toilet and needs to be put upright. They don't call the butler. They call the housekeeper.
Proper.
Yeah, it wouldn't be proper. It would. So you're kind of like the more intimate individual of the two when it comes to this kind of thing. The thing that everyone, all the other staff is supposed to see them at their best. You're the one that's kind of allowed to see them, at least some of them, mostly the ladies.
So
not.
I will take the dish and dab some in the thing, and as she turns around, I will smell it to see if I can figure out what it is, but. I'm sure it smells unpleasant.
Sure. I mean, you definitely, the scent that comes to you strongest is vinegar. Strangely. It's like water, vinegar, and something. The something. Who knows? But she kind of wants you to put it on thick at first.
I will apply it to, back and neck, holding her hair aside. So it's not to get any in her hair, because I'm sure that would do horrible things to her hair.
That would do horrible things, probably. So she kind of has you do that, and
I'll just chalk this up to one of those unpleasant things that I do.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. This isn't triggering the ignore the strange at this point. This is really one of your duties. Potentially leading up to that, who knows? But that's all I'm saying. I just kind of want to explain why you're not triggering that.
Potentially strange, but
right.
Not yet.
And not yet. Good things come to those who
facing away from her, and her head turns to me and says, no, then that'll be, ignoring the strange.
Right, exactly. So she kind of waits for you to finish and kind of smooth it out, and it kind of takes on, this is her normal complexion now. That oily grayness kind of fades to like a white on her skin when it comes into contact. And she's just kind of, she looks at herself in the mirror, nods to herself, sees that it's just right, just so, and starts putting on some rouge on her cheeks, some red, and basically with a nod in the direction of the doorway dismisses you.
I will back my way out and close the door.
Excellent. Mr. Current, you are summoned to the library.
Yes. Ding ding.
Ding ding. I'm gonna make you guys make your own special bell sound that you have to do for me every time that it gets wrong. How about that? That'll be interesting. Jason's ahead of the game so far. So yes, you're summoned.
Right.
You're summoned to the library, Jason. Or
All
Mr.
right.
Current, excuse me.
I will make my way to the library and go to open the door and let myself in.
So
I'll open the door, obviously, and take a look to make sure I'm not going to walk into anybody.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, you're as you kind of enter, you see Lord Malbane. He's standing at like one of those. It's like a lectern. It's meant to be kind of like a standing book reading thing, but it looks like what we would describe as a lectern, like little lip on the bottom to hold up the book. And he has like several books on several of these kind of spaced out around him. And he's like, what do you know my family, Current? What do you know the Malbanes?
Well, I have been in your service for several years. I do know a good amount about the family. Is there something in particular that you were looking for that I could assist you in finding?
No, Current. I just wanted to bring it up to show you that I am above you in the educational system of both this household and the country. I want you to know that if you ever want to broaden your horizons and raise your station, perhaps you should read the histories of this country, one of which is certainly the history of my own family, the Malbanes. Look here. Louisa Malbane, 1746. What an interesting woman. It's like the things she did to the servants. You would have not lasted terribly long, Mr. Current. Thank goodness everything has improved in that direction as well as for the country, yes?
Yes, well, as everyone knows, sir, your generosity is unmatched, and your graciousness is beyond compare.
Oh, now you're just putting it on a bit thick, aren't you, Current? Well, it's good to overcompensate when assuming that the superiority of the Malbane family. So I commend you on that. Good man.
Good. Yes, this does look like a fascinating book that, if I may be permitted at some point to read through.
You actually see him like jerk back, like when you say read through. It's like it occurs to you that he wasn't aware you were literate. Like, whoa. I thought he assumed it looks like a good book was, yes, it's a pretty binding. The cover looks fascinating. Well, certainly as you're dusting, if you happen to, crack one open, as they say, feel free, but no book leaves this room, you understand, right?
Absolutely, sir. I could not even imagine it.
And he's like, and especially not to touch the one about the toiletry customs of the Normans, yes? And as everyone in the household knows, that's the one that you pull to get to the secret room.
No, the Normans. No, that isn't.
They were a race of people who were here before we became English. That's not a family name. You realize that, yes, Current?
Yes, I am aware. And
yes, good.
But I would have no
French. They're somewhat
interest.
French. Despicable, but true.
Yes. At one point, when the French considered themselves English, that was that was a bit of a darkened spot on the history of our proud nation.
Well said, Current. Well said. You may not be a learned man, but you're an astute man, and I like that about you. I like the cut of your jib.
No, yes, thank you, sir. So very much of what I have learned has come directly from your hand, and I could not have such a more esteemed teacher.
Oh, well put, good man. Well, you're dismissed. I do myself need to study a little of the toiletry habits of the Normans myself right now, so I'll bid you farewell. See you at dinner.
Hey, very good, sir. Now, give him a bow and quickly, make my way out. Not running, but certainly, speed walking.
Speed walking, as it were. So yeah, so just as I say, we're gonna jump slightly ahead. The front door opens and in come Ms. Croft and Adam, Current and Reynolds. You're both probably waiting there. It's your custom to maybe again we're getting towards other times. You're probably going through the various rooms to make sure everything's tidy. It's amazing how those cobwebs grow between the antlers, etc., etc. Croft comes in with Adam, and Adam runs in past you. Of course, his boots are covered in mud, and now his footsteps are all through the house. Mr. Reynolds sighs inwardly, possibly outwardly.
Inwardly. As soon as he walked in, I was reaching for the broom.
Right. And right behind Croft, you see a face that you don't recognize. It's a young face. It's the face of a perhaps 16-year-old boy. He's wearing... What's that?
Is it attached to a body?
It is attached to a body in this case. And that body is getting off a bicycle right outside the front door. He's wearing a funny hat. And he looks in and he kind of sees in this house that he probably has never seen before.
I will go up to this young person dismounting a bicycle. May I be of service?
Oh, you Malbane?
I am Malbane's butler, head of the household. And
He got a butler?
It is part of my duties to handle appointments and meetings while he is incredibly busy with his own business dealings and other matters. What brings you to Malbane Manor?
He's like, you wipe his ass too?
What brings you to Malbane Manor?
Unflustered.
Are you perhaps an uncultured rapscallion and I shall have to summon the constabulary?
Oh, no need for that. Yeah, here's a telegram for Mortimer Malbane 3.
Thank you very much. I will be taking that from you and I will deliver it to him forthwith.
All right, excellent. So do you he kind of takes off his hat and proffers it as if for a tip.
Very good. Reynolds, tip the messenger appropriately.
Is Reynolds resisting? Is this going to trigger a roll? What was that?
Otherwise, appropriateness has just been done.
No.
Is this going to trigger the move, Reynolds?
I think so.
Is he going to direct you? Okay, Mr. Current, direct Mr. Reynolds.
Oh dear. Direct the staff. Oh, I've got +1 in there, I guess.
Yes, plus etiquette.
That's an 8.
8. All right. So they do follow your directives, but get to select one of the following. What do you select, Reynolds?
I will gain a prestige, of course.
Excellent. The prestige is gained. So,
of course, I will take care of that, Mr. Current. and I will, you see, reach into my waistcoat, and I walk outside, to him and say, fine work you're doing, and I, put in, a couple pence, or I have no idea what 1919 currency is.
Yeah, 1919 British currency at that. Yeah, so you put in enough where it's satisfying but not overly large. And he puts his hat back on, nods to you, and bicycles away. And that leaves the three of you. Do you read the telegram?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely, must read the telegram. I need to decide whether or not I should be passing it on to Lord Malbane.
Excellent.
He's not actually a lord, so I don't think.
He's not. I think it's just a general term that's used for him. Technically he's Lord of the Manor. When he's here, he's Lord. When he's in London, he's just Malbane, Mr. Malbane. So for effect, and because we're almost at the end of the session, I'm going to have you read that out loud, Current. So the telegram says, "We bid you good tidings. Stop. The rest of the family will be arriving within the week. Stop. Petunia has come up a little lame. Have Reynolds knit her a sling. Stop. Make certain that there is enough wine and candy to go around. Stop." And that's where the message ends.
All right.
Well, sounds like I'll be going into town tomorrow.
I will be sure to add some various candies and other sweets onto my shopping list.
And I'll provide you his list as well.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent.
And this appears to be perfectly safe telegram. I check back in the library to see if Mr. Malbane is there. Otherwise, I'm just going to hold on to it until next I see him.
Excellent. That will work. Yeah, it'll be you'll see him shortly as he comes out of the library, that kind of thing. So yeah, but we'll end the session with like the Current tucking the telegram into his waistcoat pocket, or in his waistcoat period, and as like the as we kind of end the episode, the front door of Malbane Manor closes, and there's like a thunk from inside as if being locked, and then fades to black towards the center. I remember what the term for that is, but yes. And so ends the first session, which was rather not dangerous, but we've only just begun, as the saying goes. So yeah, next session, we'll be bringing in the rest of the family, and that's a lot into the mix. You'll be seeing more roles happening as people are doing things you don't want them to, venturing off the grounds, etc., etc. There's going to be a lot of things coming together, so that's going to be a big challenge for me. But there's also going to be secrets. We're going to learn a little more now that we've kind of gotten past the introduction session here. We can kind of delve more into the various things you can use your prestige for, like spending it to buy like hints of troubles or secrets, and start delving into secrets and having those potentially come forward and get sleuthed out by one another, and various troubles being triggered, as they already have to various degrees for some members of the family, and how those come together and how you have to deal with those. So again, this is kind of a slow session to kind of get everybody kind of in the jockey's seat, if you will, the jockey's saddle, and we'll kind of push a little more next time as more stuff comes together, and a lot more comes into the mix, and you'll have more to deal with and more to worry about. My hope is to have like a theme for each episode. This was the moving in episode. I'm not positive yet what the next one is, but there'll be a theme. So again, what we want to do is skip the minutia of the day. I don't want to do, okay, this was from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning. This is 8 o'clock to 9.
Salt first or the pepper?
Exactly. We don't need to do that. We've figured out the meal scene. I'm sure a meal scene will happen again, but then we can skip over part of it. The minutia we've already covered and get to more interesting things. And you know what I'm saying. So my goal is while the minutia does make this family interesting and difficult to deal with, and part of the trials that you as staff go through, we definitely don't want to do I don't want to do every hour of their day. That's dumb and that's not fun for anybody. So yeah. So that being said, let's say goodbye to our players and wish everybody a fun farewell. So let's start over here with Steve. Steve, thank you for coming up on board Bedlam Hall. I hope you enjoyed the first episode. Excuse me.
I did. Good night.
Excellent. Man, a few words as always. Jason, good night to you, sir. Thank you for participating. It was a good episode.
Very good, sir.
Only the start and the end. That's fine. All right, Philip, last but not least, thank you for joining us. It was a good episode. I hope you're enjoying Mrs. Croft. She has much more to share.
Absolutely. Everybody have a...
Excellent. I am Scott's Case Files, the channel you're watching. If you're watching me on Twitch, think of following, subscribing, all that kind of good stuff. Be alerted when I go online. And definitely check out our Discord and all that stuff. You can see that in the About below. And that'll kind of tell you what's going on. If you're watching this on YouTube, all the social media and everything is in the description. And please think of subscribing, hitting the bell, and all that kind of good stuff. And I bid you fond farewell. There's more actual plays to come of Bedlam Hall. And we've only just begun. Is that a Carpenter song? I think it is. But we've only just begun. I mean, I don't mean that in a fun way. But yes, I do. So anyway, see you soon. Take care of each other. Be good to each other. Be healthy. For the record, I just got my first COVID inoculation. I'm going to
stay hydrated.
Yes. So be healthy. Be good. Be good to each other. Go forth and do no harm. And we will see you soon. And stay hydrated. And bye for now.